Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Patch and Rant. I'm Rudy Ooms, and I will be again your host for this week's episode. Last time, I had a wonderful chat with my colleague Maui Zeli about Defender and how Defender handles SVEs, also known as common vulnerabilities and exposures, if I'm not mistaken. Well, Defender is a great product when you are dealing with some SVEs. Of course, if you have got the right E3 or E5 license. And let's be honest, those licenses to get Defender aren't that cheap. And then again, why pay that much just to get some basic vulnerability information? So just as me and Maurice discussed last time, if you're looking for something way better, check out our own Advanced Insights and SVE Insights tools. With those tools, you get the real vulnerability details you actually need. And the best thing, you don't need to pay for a Microsoft E3 or E5 license. But, well, guess for today's topic, I think we need to switch the topic. Because this time, we're going to dig into something that on the surface sounds pretty simple. But actually, it isn't that simple. We are going to take a closer look how an app is actually getting installed when you click on the install button in the company portal. It sounds really simple, right? I'm going to clarify what really happens, but first, let's start with a bit of clarification. Because here's something I hear a lot, and maybe a lot. I hear it all the time because people assume that when they use Patch My PC Cloud, we are the ones actually installing the app directly on the device, but that's not really how it works from the inside. What really happens is that all the heavy lifting, the actually app installation, is actually done by the Microsoft Intune Management Extension, the IMEA, or the sidecar for short. We, Patch My PC, are handling the packaging, the catalog, and the whole automation behind the scenes. However, as soon as you click install, it's the Intune Management Extension that takes over and performs app installation on the device itself. So, I guess we're going to pull back the curtains and talk a little bit how that really happens under the hood when you click install on an available app in the company portal. So the moment you click install, a lot of stuff is going to happen behind the scenes under the hood. And I'm going to show you step by step what's going to happen. So let's discuss what's really going to happen when we click on install. So for example, in my demo, I have a lot of apps ready to be installed on my device. So the moment I click on an app, normal what we can do is just pressing the install button, right? It's very easy. So I'm going to walk you through what's going to happen when I click this nice button. So when I click this button, the Intune Management Extension first has to figure out which Intune service endpoint it needs to talk to. As we all know, Intune is a global service, so depending on where your tenant lives, you might be connected to a totally different region service. This is all about service discovery and ensuring that the device talks to the RAID API. And, of course, your own Azure Scale unit where your tenant is located in. So, once it's got the proper region, so your Azure Scale unit, the Intune Management Extension will dig up your MDM device certificate from your machine. And this Intune device certificate is pretty critical. It proves to Intune that your device is legit and is allowed to communicate with the service. So when that certificate is done or gone, just as I was mentioning in other sessions, the device will stop communicating with the service. But it's not really about the Intune certificate itself. The Intune Management Extension also extracts the device ID and the account ID. And that account ID is basically your Intune tenant ID. So we all know about our Azure ID, right? But if you look closely to that Intune certificate, it also contains your Intune tenant ID. And Patch My PC also created a blog about this and how you can figure out that yourself with a simple PowerShell script. But let's switch back because all those details, so the device ID and the account ID, gets bundled into every single web request that goes out to the service, to Intune. So we have the region, we have the certificate, but that's not enough because the Intune Management Extension also has to get a barrier token. A barrier token, well, think of it as an access pass that proves to Intune, hey, I'm allowed to talk to this service and request app info or content. And it's not only just one token, because every resource, every audience, the Intune Management Extension needs to talk to, like different Intune endpoints or services, it requires its own separate access token. So during the installation process or during the downloading process of the application, the Intune Management Extension is requesting the right token for the right audience, for the right resources to connect to the service. So after it gets the barrier token, it will send out the barrier token and the certificate to the service. And from there on, it starts asking for the available apps. So it reaches out and just starts asking what apps are available for this device and user. In response we get from the service, we notice that it contains all the important metadata. So all the installation parameters, the version, and all the information the device needs to kick off the actual install. So we all are almost done, but still we are missing the most important parts, right? Because we are missing the real bin file, the app itself that you uploaded to IntuneWin file. So after it knows which apps are available or required, the Intune Management Extension starts downloading a payload called content info. This content info contains the real download URL for the package, so for the IntuneWin Win file. And besides the download location, that payload also contains information how the file is encrypted. And of course, the decryption keys that are actually needed to get access to the zip file, because that IntuneWin file that is stored in the Azure Blob Storage, that's decoded, right? And if we just download it, we can't do anything with it. To decode it, we need to have those encryption keys. And those are all so in the content info that we received from the Intune service. So with all that information almost done, with all that information processed, the Intune Management Extension can now finally start downloading the IntuneWin package from the Azure Blob Storage it just got. And with the decryption keys, it can start decrypting the IntuneWin file. And once it decoded the IntuneWin file, it will extract the zip file. And of course, if it got the zip file, it will extract the contents from the zip file to the email cache folder. So it's a zip file in a bin file, a little bit of interception, but everything is needed to get it safe, right? So with the package stored in the Intune Management Extension, Intune Management Extension in the email cache, the Intune Management Extension can now finally start installing the application just by kicking off the install parameters it got in the first payload. And once the application is successfully installed or not, it depends a little bit, but after the installation is done, the Intune Management Extension will send back the app results, failed or successful, to the service. So I guess that's the official flow, how it works. But I guess I can also show you a demo how it works, right? So let's switch to the live demo. Here's what's really, really fun, because you can actually replicate most of this yourself with just a PowerShell script. So let's run through a quick demo, shall we? So first off, I will open the Intune portal and grab an application ID for one of my apps, either available or required. Well, one thing to keep in mind, the app it needs to be assigned to your device or user in Intune. If it's not assigned, the service won't return it when you ask for available apps. And the PowerShell script won't be able to pull anything down. So, for example, 7-zip. So I opened the Intune portal as an admin and just opened the first app I could find, 7-zip. We all love 7-zip. Of course, you can do that with every single app, but I will show you it later on. So we only need the app ID. We can do pretty much the same thing when going to the portal.manage.microsoft.com, which is in fact just a company portal then on the web. And as you can see, you can also get the app ID from over here. So once I got the app ID, I just put it in my script right here. So Once I dropped it in my script, the script will handle the rest automatically. The script does the region, service discovery, just exactly how the Intune Management Extension is going to do it. So, small recap of what this long script, I told you it was simple, but it's not that simple. But the script, it will find and use the Intune device certificate. It fetches the device ID and the tenant ID for that. It fetches a barrier token, which will be used for authentication, and it will reach out to the Intune service and ask for the available app and pulls down the content info. And then it downloads the encrypted Intune file and decrypts it and unpacks it locally. And that's just like that. You have the raw installer content ready to go. So let's see how it works then, right? So I got the app ID. I'm going to save it. And from there on, I'm just going to execute it. And within a couple of seconds, we will see what's going to happen. It's already downloaded. So if I go, and I tested it before, but if I just look at the modified date, I can see that it got me an IntuneWin file, which is like 2 megabytes from just like a minute ago. And if I open the app, did I open the proper one? Let's see, files. And there it is, 7-zip, the installer. And we can just start installing it. Isn't it great? So, again, I can do the same thing for any other app as well. So, for example, if I'm going to open this one, it's a little bit bigger. The only well app or something. I can also go over here and fetch the app ID from there, and then I can also show you how it's been assigned. That's this one, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is. As you can see, it's not installed on any single device. The only thing I did was ensuring that it was assigned or marked as available for all users. So once I got that, I can just go to the script and I will do it like this. I'm going to save it. And I'm going to execute it again. So in the meanwhile, I can talk my way through it. As I was mentioning before, the script searches for everything the Intune Management Extension does. The Intune device certificate, it fetches the ID, of the tenant ID, the device ID. Then it tries to find the barrier token. The barrier token is also used by the Intune Management Extension. Later on, I will try to create a functional module that does the barrier of the request for the barrier token itself, but that seems to be a little bit difficult for now. So I just fetch it from the cache. And from there on, it just reaches out to the discovery service, finding the proper endpoint for the proper tenant I am. So this is as a scale unit. And then it is going to find out if it's in available apps or required apps or selected apps. So depending if it's on the available list, yes or no. And I just marked it as available. So I guess that's why it's not yet showing up in the list. And from there on, it just sends a put command to that same URL, getting the IntuneWin file, the encryption information, the decoding information, and from there on, it starts downloading the information or the bin file. Of course, this is a pretty big one, so it takes a little bit longer. And also ensure that if somehow Bitch is not going to work, it will switch over to curl. And also, if there is no barrier token in place, sometimes there's a mismatch between the timing and the Intune Management Extension doing its work. For example, if your device was going to sleep for a couple of minutes, then or an hour, then probably the barrier token isn't in place, and then I'm just going to restart the Intune Management Extension because that will also reach out, will cause the Intune Management Extension to reach out to the service and asking for a new token. So again, I'm going to take a close look at my temp folder, and I will spot the fact that we now have a nice bin file, which is pretty big. And we also have the same installer. So I guess that was the demo. And in the demo, I pretty much showed you that you only need an app ID to get your IntuneWin file back from the Intune server. So if somehow you lost the original package or the original content, you took over a tenant or something, this is the way you can get that information back. And the funny thing is, you can also create a script that just pulls all the app IDs from the service and just kicks off this script one by one by one. So you can even automate that process as well. So that was a demo for today. So just to recap then. Today we went behind the scenes on what actually happens when you install a Win32 app from the company portal. We walked through how the Intune Management Extension, the sidecar agent, does the actual installation. And I showed you what steps are involved from authentication to decryption, and even how you could do it yourself with just a PowerShell script that we are going to publish. So if you want to see how all of this can be fully automated and managed even before the Intune Management Extension is going to take over the installation process, well, check out Patch My PC Cloud. We handle packaging, catalog updates, and automation, so everything is ready for the Intune Management Extension to do its job, with no manual steps needed from you. That way, you can focus on the stuff that actually matters. Want to learn more? Book a demo and see it in action. Again, thanks for watching and see you next time on Patch and Rant.